You know those stories that have characters that trick others, and maybe even the audience, into thinking he or she is some other character previously mentioned or seen, only to reveal that they are someone or something completely different. These usually nefarious characters are merely imitators, copycats, imposters. So for this video, I'm going over the most wacky, cool, interesting, and surprisingly deceptive imposters across various forms of media. The best way to differentiate these imposters from characters that simply imitate for reasons other than deception is these imposters must impersonate a previously established character in their respective universe. Their motives to trick others can vary, whether it's to infiltrate some building, ruin a character's image, or simply live a life that they have never lived before. These characters can use any form of disguise, whether it's with clothes, makeup, magic, technology, or anything else. I'll also consider the personality behind the false face and how successful the imposters were, but those are not necessities to be on this list. It's scary to imagine if someone in your life was a completely different person this whole time. Don't you think, Judgment Meter, my co-host for this video exposition?
Yeah, let's go talk about some imposters, Mr. T.
Sounds good, friend.
Oh, no, that's not me. I don't sound like that.
Huh, there's two of you now.
I'm pretty sure that was a man. That was a man's voice. Do I sound like a man?
No, it's me.
I don't know, that's a pretty convincing imitation.
Oh my god, is that what I sound like? I feel so bad for your reviewers.
Sweet the anime thing.
I did that. That was me. That was me, not you.
Alright, I feel we've properly demonstrated the topic of this video. Reveal yourself so we can get on with the list.
Okay, fine. I'm not the Judgment Meter. It's me, A.T. Gonzalez.
From SoftwareAgentsCorp?
I'm an imposter.
Yes, AT, my footage provider, will be joining us for this video too. So let's uncover the top 10 imposters. Number 10, Black Zero or Fake Zero from Mega Man X. Has Zero gone bad again? He was truly the edgy hero we needed to balance out the more straightforward heroic nature of X. But as you would expect, there has to be a catch when the final boss of a game presents you with your greatest ally as the next enemy you must fight.
If you found all of Zero's body parts in Mega Man X2, you won't be fighting Zero in the final stage. Instead, Sigma will send an imposter Zero to trick you.
However, the charade to make X think that he's alone in this world is short-lived, as the real Zero comes in after you win the fight and basically says, "Dude, what the hell, why are you smearing my good name, Sigma?" as he destroys his imitator. Since the fake Zero is just another soulless copy, there's no real identity behind the disguise, unlike later entries in this video, which is why he's only at the start of this list. Number 9, Gary the Elvis impersonator from an episode of The Twilight Zone. In the episode The Once and Future King, we meet Gary, a professional Elvis impersonator who's trying to get his big music break, even if it means he has to piggyback off his uncanny covers of Elvis songs. After crashing his car one evening, he finds himself in 1954, the day before Elvis auditions at Sun Studio, which is where he kick-started his legendary music career. He befriends Elvis, with the king thinking Gary is his long-lost brother, though conflict strikes when Elvis wants to perform an uncontroversial song, and Gary thinks Elvis should go for one of his more risque songs considering what made Elvis really famous. The argument escalates to Elvis starting a brawl with Gary for implying such an inappropriate act, leading to an accident where Elvis dies before the audition. Gary felt the only thing he could do to keep music history alive is to pretend to be the real Elvis for his audition. He performs That's All Right to the same success as Elvis had, leading to Gary spending the rest of his life acting as if he's the real Elvis. Or maybe this was biographical and Elvis was always some guy named Gary pretending to be him. Hey, there have been weirder Elvis fan theories out there. Oh, and Game of Thrones fans, George R.R. Martin wrote this episode. Number 8, Dupless from Paper Mario. He's part of the enemy type Duplighost, who appeared in the first Paper Mario game. In that game, they would imitate Mario's team members to obtain their powers, but their more deceptive motive was to trick Mario for a sneak attack by introducing themselves as some of Mario's most loyal team members. While they're great at honing the abilities of their copies, they really need to do research on any other information about who they're imitating because I'm pretty sure Mario knows that his Koopa friend does not look like his own brother.
I like how the Duplo Ghost impersonating Cooper goes, "I'm Koopa. Yeah, that's it." Like, like, who the hell are you trying to fool here?
Duplis, however, is one of the few with a true identity. He's the only Duplo Ghost that appears in Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. I like to think he's the king of the Duplo Ghosts and that Party Hat is his crown, or he just parties 24/7.
Every day's a party.
Duplis, though, has bigger plans than imitating Mario's allies. He's going for the big man himself. When you fight him, he does the normal, "Hey, I'm you, Mario, now fight me." But when the battle is over, Mario and his ally leave the Shadow Mario to wallow in his loss. But joke's on us, somehow we're now controlling the Shadow after Mario walks off. Duplis just Captain Ginyu'd us and swapped bodies, tricking our friend into thinking he's the real Mario. Now we must play as the Shadow Mario to get our body back and prevent Duplis from tainting our heroic name. He must have a dastardly reason to replicate Mario.
While some Mario villains like Wart, Bowser, and Grotus have aspirations of global conquest, Duplis is just a straight-up jerk.
Oh, that's anticlimactic. Still, I like his design.
I hope he doesn't trip on his sheet when he walks.
Number 7, Imposter Professor Oak, the Pokemon card. I know Pokemon has other prominent imposters that may have fit better, like Ditto, whose ability is literally called Imposter and he's known for transforming into other Pokemon. Or Zoroark, the Pokemon that pretends to be the last Pokemon in your party. And trust me, they'll get some time during the honorable mention segment, but Imposter Professor Oak was always one of those designs that stood out to me. A lot of other humans on Pokemon cards were either trainer classes or characters from the games, so he was this mysterious outlier.
Now this Imposter Oak guy has always wigged me out. He just kind of appeared in the trading card game with no explanation whatsoever. Just bam! There he is, this guy pretending to be a trusted adult, with that smug look and that creepy scar on his head.
He has plenty of aspects to make it clear that he's evil, but why did this man have to dress up as Professor Oak? None of his cards depict him as having to sneak into a Pokemon research facility or anything like that. Do we have to stop this man's evil deeds right now?
Well, there's no time to explain everything. You must hurry.
And yes, I know he's dressed as Oak because his card effect is similar to Professor Oak's card. He ultimately fits our criteria based on the story told through the imagery, and his anime counterpart, this being James from Team Rocket, who dresses as Oak just for the free food at a local celebrity appearance that Oak's making. He tries to act like Oak, but either barely gets by or just fails at it. To his credit though, it took characters literally a full episode to figure out that James was an imposter. I guess there wasn't that much official artwork of Oak floating around in the Pokemon world, since there are some clear differences in their appearances. Back to the cards. Imposter Oak's fame got him a second card, Imposter Professor Oak's Revenge.
I'm concerned. I knew he had a Gengar. I just felt it.
What's he getting vengeance for? Did someone blow his cover that was so flawless that he put imposter right in his name so he did not trick you too hard? Number 6, Clash impersonating Gem from the episode One Gem Too Many of Gem and the Holograms. Gem and the Holograms continues to show that it teeters the line between harmless kids show and soap opera with plot lines only adults can relate to. The one-sentence plot of Gem is Jerrica Benton disguises herself as pop star Gem, which no one can know about outside of her bandmates, since, I don't know, Jerrica can't be her own manager and the lead singer. In this episode, Jerrica is filling out her tax forms as important businesswoman for Starlight Records, a trouble that all 8-year-old girls must deal with. But when she's distracted by that, a perfect imposter Gem is running around trying to ruin Gem's reputation by insulting everyone, breaking things, and demanding literal buckets of caviar like an obnoxious diva.
Why would you ever eat it out of a bucket?
The first half of the episode leads us to believe that Jerrica has gone insane, since the fake gem enters the scenes when Jerrica is nearby and off-screen. However, since there is no time for a magic synergy earring transformation between those scenes, we can deduce that something is wrong. Once the rest of the band sees the Gemposter tarnishing her reputation on TV at Flint Westwood's new movie premiere, thank you so much for this, they plan to trap the imposter at their next concert. Meanwhile, we learn the imposter is actually Clash, who works as a crony for the rival band, the Misfits. Clash usually has the incredibly underrated gimmick of clashing a tiny pair of cymbals in people's ears when they're not paying attention in an attempt to startle them.
That'd be so annoying in real life.
That's what makes her evil.
First I'd be scared, and then I'd just be angry.
I can only explain that this mask is successful because of the magic of cartoon.
It's like face, hair, back of head, and neck.
Anyway, after crashing their own concert that they were tricked into missing, the holograms reveal to the crowd that the other gem is an imposter by challenging the fake gem to a sing-off because fake gem can't sing. Foiled because the Misfits never thought a pop singer would ever have to use that skill. Then the imposter is booed off the stage as everyone throws conveniently placed tomatoes at them thanks to the farmer that drove the holograms to their own concert.
And the farmer was a little bit concerned because they were all wasting his produce. I'd be concerned too, and offended.
Number 5. The Spy from Team Fortress 2. Two simple clothing options of a suit and ski mask make such an appealing design. The spy uses his spy kit to turn into any character on the opposing team. When in effect, he'll look and sound like whichever member of the other team he chooses to imitate, so it's up to one of his foes to call him out. However, to avoid confusion, if you're on the spy's team when he's using this tool, you'll just see him as the spy with a simple mask, which is pretty hilarious. In the context of the Team Fortress story, the red spy fakes out both the blue team and the viewer in his intro trailer, where the blue team spy tells Heavy Soldier and Scout how the red team spy has snuck into the base, only to reveal that the Scout he was talking to was the red spy all along. Red Spy did a good job at deceiving, considering how he reacted exactly how Scout would have reacted when he heard about his own affair with Scout's mother. Red Spy's affair with Scout's mom, not Scout's affair, which never happened. These pronouns get confusing with all these lookalikes running around. Number 4. Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat. Shang Tsung is Mortal Kombat's master of deception. He wasn't even on the roster of Mortal Kombat Deception since the creators knew he'd have too much of an advantage in a game themed around Shang's area of expertise. Shang Tsung's main power as a sorcerer is absorbing some of the soul from his opponents, which allows him to stay young-looking as if he used all the latest products from Sephora. The soul energy also allows him to transform into the soul's owner. Exact same appearance, voice, and fighting style. In early Mortal Kombat games, he could freely transform into any character with certain button commands. Mortal Kombat 9 refined this ability where he could only turn into the character he's fighting against using his Soul Steal technique. When not fighting though, he uses these powers to trick his enemies to walk right into his trap or get in for a sneak attack. The most prominent example was when he turned into fellow Shaolin monk Kung Lao to infiltrate the White Lotus Society and kill Mortal Kombat champion Liu Kang. However, the one time both the characters he was deceiving and the viewer were unaware there was an imposter lurking about was in the Mortal Kombat movie. Here he impersonated Johnny Cage's martial arts master. He suggested Johnny join this upcoming tournament to prove his skills to the world as a real fighter. But as soon as Johnny walks away after agreeing to check out this tournament, the master that we just assumed was a barely named martial arts master that would never appear in any other Mortal Kombat media again is actually Shang Tsung. I, sir, am shocked. So now Shang Tsung is not just potentially pretending to be a different main character from the series, but he could be an NPC too? God, not even the unspecified background characters are immune from Shang Tsung's imitation. Number 3. Liquid Snake impersonating Master Miller in Metal Gear Solid.
Dude, Metal Gear Solid spoilers.
It's fine, it's not like we haven't already spoiled a bunch of other things on this list.
Hideo Kojima's gonna throw you in the brig.
Before we even go into who Liquid Snake is, I think we need to discuss the significance of Master Miller and why someone would choose to impersonate him.
Master Miller is one of Big Boss's and Solid Snake's most trusted allies. He'll give you life advice and run your army for you while you infiltrate enemy territory. He's a good guy you want to have on your support team. But what if I told you that wasn't actually Miller you were speaking to?
Liquid Snake had Master Miller killed off screen, and he assumed Miller's identity. All those directions you were receiving in Metal Gear Solid were actually from Liquid Snake doing a pretty spot-on Master Miller vocal imitation.
Snake, you've been talking to me, dear brother. Liquid, how the... You've served your purpose. You may die now.
So congratulations! We helped a dangerous criminal get his hands on a deadly weapon all because he sounded like our commanding officer. At least he was nice enough to reveal his motives to us after we unintentionally helped him succeed.
Why did you disguise yourself as Master?
So I could manipulate you more easily.
Well, duh, Snake. Why else would he be impersonating him? You imposter.
Number 2, Seymour Skinner from The Simpsons. The episode The Principal and the Pauper is where Seymour Skinner reveals he's not actually Skinner, but rather an imposter. One of the most infamous and reviled episodes by fans. We learn that Principal Skinner is actually some guy named Armin Tanzarian, who met the real Seymour Skinner when serving in Vietnam. When the alleged real Seymour Skinner went missing during the Vietnam War, the Skinner we know as Skinner was sent to tell real Skinner's mother, but not wanting to make her sad after she mistakes him for the real Seymour Skinner, he pretends to be Seymour for the rest of his life, taking his entire backstory and his dream of becoming a high school principal. Ho ho ho, delightfully devilish Seymour. All these events, of course, occur chronologically before the main series of The Simpsons, so anytime Seymour Skinner was seen on screen, he was actually pretending to be this man. That also means in every episode where he recounted his past in the war, those flashbacks were fabricated and he did a good job faking them. It's almost as if he, and the writers, had no idea that he was lying. When you think about it, that makes him one of the best imposters since amazingly he never tipped off his secret. And therein lies the problem with Principal Skinner being an imposter. It wasn't planned or built up by the writers. There were no hints. The writers just thought it would be funny to have an established character reveal he's been impeccably lying for 9 seasons. The episode even ends with Armin legally getting all of Seymour Skinner's identity and with the judge saying everything we once knew about him is now his backstory. So not only was he pretending to be another man for upwards of about 20 years, but he accomplished every imposter's dream of becoming the de facto version of the character they're imitating. And if you wanted us to find a way to link this segment with the steamed ham scene, here you go.
You know, come to think of it, when Skinner, Armin Tanzarian, was telling Chalmers about the old Skinner family steamed hams recipe, you know, he was really committing to that act.
This list could use some honorable mentions, all the Pokemon characters that did not get a full segment. I wanted to limit this list to one Pokemon entry since Pokemon is full of imposters. Ditto is prominent since he can make perfect replicas of any Pokemon, or anything according to the anime. However, in the context of the games and anime, Ditto transforms for battle and entertainment purposes, so it does not really fit our criteria. When he does deceive, it's more of a quick gag, like, hey look, another Pikachu, what's wrong with its face? Also Zoroark, whose main gimmick is based around tricking your opponent into thinking it's a different Pokemon in your party.
It looks like it's perpetually licking its lips.
That's because they're coated in a tasty cinnamon flavor. And Mimikyu, who may not be a perfect replica of Pikachu, but he tries the best he can. Bizarro Superman from Superman the Animated Series. In his first episode, he thought he was Superman and was a perfect lookalike for about 5 minutes. Then his skin started to deteriorate and he became the Bizarro we know and love. Mad-Eye Moody from Harry Potter. Oh, have I said too much? I think that might have been too much of a spoiler by just saying his name.
No, not Mad-Eye. I trusted him.
Stan Pines from Gravity Falls. What I like about this review...
Dude, Gravity Falls spoilers.
I don't think people will care that much if I spoil one thing from Gravity Falls compared to Harry Potter.
You're gonna get in trouble with Mickey.
Fine, have it your way.
Also, honorable mention to the Kikyo clone from the 4th Inuyasha movie, who died 10 minutes after she was born. And let me tell you something, that was a very long pregnancy.
Oh, Kagomi's kind of like an imposter Kikyo. Actually, Kikyo's like an imposter Kikyo, if you think about it. She's not real Kikyo. Kikyo died.
Guys, I think people want me to get to that top pick part of the video. For number 1, I'm going for a classic story involving two willing imposters that has seen numerous iterations that started all the way back in the 1800s. Even if you've never read the original, you know this story. Number 1, The Prince and the Pauper. The Pauper is much more of an imposter though, since he's pretending to be someone who has a much greater influence than a simple peasant. The Prince and the Pauper was written by Mark Twain, about a prince and a common man who look remarkably similar and decide to switch places for a short period of time because they want either the royal or humble life respectively. The grass seems greener on the other side, but the fancy or humble life may not be all that it's cracked up to be. Due to the simple concept and universal moral of the story, it has received an array of retellings and parodies through other TV shows.
Top 2 versions of the story. Number 2, Mickey. Number 1, Johnny Bravo.
I think that settles it. Johnny Bravo is the main pauper in this entry. This episode is a fun representation of the story since it's a clear parody that knows its audience has heard this tale before. Mark Twain even enters the episode to complain that he just wants this cliche story used in other sitcoms and cartoons to die already. I like how Johnny basically says to cut the crap and just get to the identity swapping when he meets the prince, explaining that this plotline has been so overdone even he knows what's the deal with this setup. After taking the place of the prince, Johnny is blissfully ignorant of his heinous actions, like breaking priceless artifacts and starting a war with a foreign land just because he wanted to make out with the queen. And no one even points out how the prince changed his outfit and speaks like Elvis now, mostly because that would ruin the joke of the episode. I like that Johnny completely overlooks the lesson of the story when presented with the downsides of the lavish life just because something stupid distracts him. And if he wasn't at risk of being imprisoned for treason and negligence by the end of his time impersonating the prince, I think he would have been fine keeping this job. So the pauper, the prince, they may be the least nefarious imposters on this list, but they were landmark imposters in the long line of imitators that appeared in media for decades to come. Now that we've reached the end of this list, what did you think of these choices? Are there any other deceitful imposters that we did not discuss? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next video.